Start out with the top 25 Kansas football rankings, courtesy of Riley Spencer at Riley Media _05 from Metro Sports Mocan. Reached out to him and I asked if it'd be okay if I could use his information. So before we get you ready for the schedule of games that are going to be played today, I'm going to give you this top 25 Kansas football ranking, like I said, courtesy of Riley Spencer at Riley Media _05. Once again, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to use this information. I really do appreciate it. So let's give you, this is the October 8th edition. Top 5 pretty much staying intact. Of course, after that, there's going to be numerous changes. Coming in at number 1 is Derby. Number 2, Gardner Edgerton, and they could be on a collision course. Number 3, Manhattan. Number 4, Wichita Northwest, a team that has won multiple Greater Wichita Athletic League titles, but they're looking to finally get over that hump and get that state trophy brought back to the Wichita greater area, metro area. Number 5, Mill Valley. Number 6, St. Thomas Aquinas. Number 7, Blue Valley. Number 8, Blue Valley West. Number 9, Mays South. Number 10, Great Bend. And I'm pretty sure this is a move up after their upset win over Andover Central. Number 11 is Goddard, and right behind them, the team at the upset, number 12, Andover Central. Number 13, Lewisburg. Number 14, Cape and Mount Carmel. Number 15, Blue Valley Northwest. Number 16, Wichita East, especially after their shellacking of, I believe it was Topeka Hayden, who came in undefeated and hadn't allowed a point, and Wichita East put up a season's worth of points on them in a 74-6 victory. Number 17, Baser Linwood. Number 18, Shawnee Mission Northwest. Number 19, Olathe East. Number 20, 3A defending champions, those Cheney Cardinals. They're still just rolling along. Number 21, Free State. Number 22, the team that Cheney knocked off not once but twice last year, Andale. Could they be on a collision course again? Number 23, DeSoto. Number 24, Dodge City, and the team that Derby went in to town last week and made their house their home, Hutchinson, coming in at number 25. So there is your top 20, Kansas 25. Once again, special thanks to Riley Spencer at Riley Media _05 from Metro Sports Mocan. Check them out. They do a good job of covering Kansas and Missouri. So give them a check them out, check out their publications. What I'm about to do now, I am about to actually, I know this seems kind of short, but I want to give you the top 25 first before I get into the upcoming games, which will be, well, we'll find out who it will be courtesy of after we take a break. But it is the A-Train Sports Talk podcast on a Friday, getting you set for high school football across the state of Kansas. That way you know what games are being played where. So don't you go nowhere. I will be right back. Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast, getting you ready for some high school football. It is Friday, the best day of the week. I used to listen to a show, and they used to always argue about what the best day of the week was. As far as I'm concerned, Friday and Saturday are the best days of the week. Why? Because there's a lot of football and it gives me a lot to talk about. And right now what I want to do is look at another ranking before we get you set up for the game tonight. And these are basically the top teams in each class. So in 5A, we're looking at Derby. Their last game, Derby continued its domination with a 36-3 road win versus Hutchinson. The Panthers led 15-0 at halftime before exploding for 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. Drew Kemp, 2 touchdown passes while adding 2 more scores on the ground. Arias Finley led the ground game with 166 yards and a touchdown. Derby has allowed just 24 total points and has won every game by 33 points or more. Next game, Friday night tonight versus Valley Center, 1-4. Oh, yeah, by the way, Derby, they're 5-0. Top team in 5A, number 1, Mill Valley at 4-1. Their last game, they beat Olathe North in what you could say was a shootout by the score of 43-36. Mill Valley held off Olathe North 43-36. The Jaguars have won 3 games by 1 score margins. Junior Reggie Reese continued his breakout season with 23 carries for 155 yards in the score. The Jaguars will travel to Gardner-Edgerton this week in a game that could decide the Sunflower League Championship. So that game ought to be a barn burner. Matter of fact, Gardner-Edgerton is still coming in, still at 5-0. With the number 2 ranking. And this here, let me just go ahead and give you the credits on this one, as I am on multiple sites. This ranking is courtesy of KPreps. I don't have a particular person who has penned this, but if I find it, I will let you know who it is. But this is courtesy of KPreps. Now we move to 4A. Number 1, Lewisburg, 5-0. They last won against Eudora by the score of 42-14. Lewisburg moved into the number 1 spot and is the lone undefeated squad in Class 4A. The Wildcats won 42-14 at Eudora and will be heavily favored in its last 3 regular season contests. The Wildcats silenced the Eudora home crowd with a 35-0 first half performance. Ashton Moore rushed for a pair of touchdowns in the first half, and Miles Vose rushed for a score and caught a touchdown pass from Axel Saad. Vose then returned an interception for a score in the second half. Lewisburg has not lost a regular season contest to a Kansas school since 2021. Next, Lewisburg takes their show on the road to Wichita West, who checks in at 2-3. 3A, number 1, Andale. So you can see there's a difference between Metro Sports Rankings and Max Preps, as they have Andale number 1 in 3A. 5-0 Andale. Last game, they blasted Nickerson by the score of 58-6. Andale is one of 6 undefeated teams left in Class 3A, along with Marysville. Wow. I used to travel through Marysville, and trust me, some of the locals were very concerned about the state of Marysville's football, so it's good to see them doing good. But along with Marysville, Wellsville, Frontenac, Heston, and their nemesis, Cheney. Andale and Heston are both 5-0, 2-0, and headline District 6. Andale dominated Nickerson 58-6 and has won all its games by at least 41 points. Their next game at Smoky Valley, 1-4. Safe bet to say that game probably won't be a pretty sight. 2A, number 1, Southeast of Saline at 5-0. Last game out, they blanked Lions by the score of 66-0. Southeast of Saline narrowly slides by Norton into the top spot this week and stands at 5-0, 2-0 in District 6. The Trojans dominated Lions 66-0 in a home victory. Junior Gannon Jacobson finished with 11 carries for 207 yards and 3 scores. SES, which is Southeast of Saline, finished with 542 total yards. Next, they will be traveling to 2-3 Hillsboro. Number 1 in 1A, Conway Springs 5-0. Last game out, they shut out Hutchinson Trinity 35-0. Conway Springs churned out a 35-0 victory against Hutchinson Trinity. The Cardinals led 12-0 after the first quarter, 28-0 at halftime, and scored his final touchdown in the third quarter. Conway Springs finished with 40 carries for 337 yards and 5 scores. Senior Isaac Winter had 13 carries for 163 yards, including a 69-yard run and 2 scores. Conway Springs has won 16 straight contests and is the defending 1A state champion. Conway Springs 5-0, 2-0 will play Sterling 3-2, 2-0 in a game that will likely decide the District 7 state title. Now we focus on 8 men. Number 1, Hoxie 5-0. Their last game they beat Oberlin Decatur County by the score of 45-12. Hoxie headlines District 8 with a 5-0, 2-0 mark. The top 5 teams in the district stand at 3-2 or better. Hoxie won in Oberlin 45-12. Senior Duncan Bell finished with 11 of 15 passing for 120 yards with 4 touchdowns against 0 interceptions. Senior Brayton Sheets had 20 carries for 112 yards and a score. Their next game will be against 3-2 Hill City. Another perennial power in 8-man Division 2, number 1, Axtell at 5-0. Their last game out, they beat Wakefield by the score of 50-0. Axtell won his 44th straight game and set the Kansas all-time record for consecutive 8-man victories with a 50-0 road win at Wakefield. Axtell's senior class has never lost a game in junior high or high school. The Eagles broke the record set by rival Hanover. The Eagles 5-0, 2-0 paced District 3 along with Hanover 5-0, 2-0 and Frankfort 4-1, 0-1. Axtell will be heavily favored versus St. Paul this Friday before it finishes the regular season with its mammoth contest versus Hanover and at Frankfort. Against Wakefield, Axtell scored 16 points in the first quarter and 34 in the second. Axtell had 5 rushes and scored 4 touchdowns. Axtell had the ball for 1 minute, 55 seconds of the game, ran 10 plays, and scored 5 touchdowns. Brandon Schmelzel also tallied a kickoff return for a score. Their next game will be at 2-3, will be versus 2-3 St. Paul. And we round this out with 6-man, number 1, Cunningham 5-0. Their last game won at Otis Bison 50-0. Cunningham rolled over a solid Otis Bison team 50-0 in a road win. Cunningham has permitted just 24 points this year. The Wildcats have won every game by at least 50 points. And Friday represented its first shutout this year. Cunningham will be heavily favored in its last 2 regular season contests and also has a week 7 bye. Cunningham is in firm control of District 2 against Otis Bison. Cunningham led 24-0 after the first quarter, 44-0 at halftime, and ended the game in the third quarter, limited Otis Bison to 30 plays for 118 total yards. Their next game versus Chase, 1-4. So hopefully that will get you ready for some football action. As what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring my focus solely in on the games that are going to be happening in 6A. But I'm going to do that after this break. So whatever you do, don't you go nowhere, because we have a lot more to go. Are we pressed for time? Maybe a little bit. But I think that what we have for you, we can get it done here within the next few minutes. We're going to look at the top teams in 6A, their schedule, who they're playing against. And then we'll pretty much bring this train back into the station. So I hope you are enjoying the ride on a Football Friday, the number one podcast in the state of Kansas that gives young people a voice. It is the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. Your host and conductor, Anthony Smith, will be right back. Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. I keep telling y'all this is the number one podcast in the state of Kansas. And I'm also going to tell you why come is number one. Because I give young student athletes a voice. That's called interviews. I also have Coach's Corner.